Innovations Fair 2023, Homemade Toys for Active Learning. Beth Goodrich, Developmental Specialist, and Amber Olinger, Developmental Specialist.
Hello and thank you. Welcome to our presentation on homemade toys for active learning. Today we're going to talk about some of the ways that we make, adapt, and modify toys and active learning activities in the Birth to 3 Early Intervention Program. Sometimes we find ways to use things that the family already has in their home. Other times we use recycled materials and get creative. But often we help create materials or toys that will be both visually and tactually motivating and meet the child's unique sensory needs for learning. Today we're going to show you a few examples of some of the play opportunities that we have created. Also, just a quick disclaimer that all of the materials that we will show will require full adult supervision to ensure safety for the children. So my name is Amber Olinger, and I've worked with NMSBVI in the Birth to 3 program for 2.5 years, but I have a little over 10 years of early intervention experience and have worked with many children of all different abilities. And my co-presenter today is Beth.
I'm Beth Goodrich. I've worked for NMSBVI for about 8 years now. And then prior to that, I worked in early intervention for about 8 years as well. I'm a developmental vision specialist, and I'm in the process of getting my orientation and mobility certification as well.
And I forgot that part as well. I'm also in the process of getting my orientation and mobility certification.
The philosophy of early intervention in New Mexico is based around working with children in their natural environment. So for our Birth to 3 group at NMSBVI, what that means is often working with children and families in their home. We try to incorporate strategies as much as possible that can fit into a child and family's daily routine. We want to provide families with strategies that are not extra things to do throughout the day, but that are activities that can be easily built into something that's already happening. And we try to use materials that the family already has in order to support that child's learning. One of the most frequent questions that I get during home visits is, what should I buy to help my child learn? And at NMSBVI, we work really hard to collaborate with families to use things that they already have. So one of the things our Birth to 3 group is especially good at is working with the families to find things that already exist in their house that they can use. And many times this includes recycled materials that we're able to adapt to create a great learning opportunity for a child. So in this slide, on the right-hand side, there's a picture of a plastic electronic piggy bank with some plastic coins. And at the top of the piggy bank, there's a slot, and you can slide the coins down into that slot. The picture on the left is showing an empty cylindrical oatmeal container with a lid, and in the lid is a slit cut into the top. And this has been paired with some dominoes that can be placed into that slit. There is some black contrasting tape around the slot in the lid of the oatmeal container to help give the child a visual cue about how and where the dominoes go in. So this is a great example of being able to take the same concept from a toy that you could buy and easily adapt it with something that the family may already have laying around in their house. And additionally, being able to add visual adaptations and tactile adaptations to meet each child's individual needs. And although this picture shows dominoes as the item to place in, families can use popsicle sticks or Play-Doh container tops or coins or even just circles cut out of cardboard.
So, quick story about this. My family bought a TV that I thought was much too big, but what I was actually excited about was the package materials. And then there was this really unique bubble wrap, which you can see in these 3 images. And what I was excited about was the quality of it. It was very thick, very sturdy, but also it had these properties that were really, I thought, appropriate for the children that I work with. It makes these really cool sounds when you rub your hand over it or you knock on it. It gives some feedback because of the sturdiness of it and the air. So I knew that I was going to eventually have just the right kid that I could use this with to support their learning. So ultimately, I had this family in mind. So I started by talking to the family and saying, hey, I have this very strange package material that I think could be really fun for your child. And the family agreed. So the next visit, I brought it. And in the first image, you can see him. He looks like he's falling off of it, but what he was actually doing was finding the edges. And thinking about orientational mobility and active learning, that's such a great opportunity to start having some of those concept development conversations with him around the edge. He was able to practice moving on and off of this and getting feedback throughout his body. He was able to rub his hand over it and get some auditory feedback. He was able to pat his hand on it and get a different type of auditory feedback. Honestly, the opportunities were endless. In the second two pictures, he's actually under it. And again, full disclaimer, this was full adult supervision. Family was okay with this and he was safe. He was not gonna not have oxygen. But we were able to then do some light play, which was a whole new experience for him. And then also some auditory play by dragging some of his toys across or over top of him while he's under it, and thinking about all that information that it's giving his body. So in this very unique experience, he's learning all about his body. He was able to practice sitting on it, which I didn't have a picture of, but it's just the opportunities are endless with something that you would never know. And it might have been somebody's trash, but it was my active learning opportunity.
So this is another great example of exactly what Amber was just talking about. So this is another recycled material that we used in conjunction with the play stand with this child. So in this picture, he is laying on a silver foil-like mat, and he has a play stand near his legs, and there's a toy hanging from a play stand that's touching his feet. And the silver mat that he's laying on is actually an insulated liner from a meal box that comes in the mail. And so for this child, we were working on helping him get some purposeful movement. So this material that he's laying on makes a great crinkling sound when he moves. So it provided him some great auditory feedback. It's shiny, it's reflective. So that was very visually motivating. It has kind of a bumpy texture to it, which also gave him some nice tactile feedback. You can see he's kind of feeling it a little bit with the top of his hands. He would kind of move his hands periodically or move his head periodically on this and kind of get all of those different types of feedback all at once. And so this was very motivating for this child to kind of help promote some purposeful movement for him. And then we were able to use the play stand near his feet when he was kicking to give him that toy fox that's hanging from the play stand has a little crinkle toy piece at the bottom that he was very motivated by. And so we were able to hang that preferred toy down by his feet or hang the bells that you can also see in the picture, depending on what he was kind of interested in that moment. But it was a really nice, simple way to give this child some great sensory feedback from just this very simple setup and from something like, you know, a meal liner that generally people throw away or recycle. And so this was a great opportunity for him to just use that to get all of this different information and to help him learn to move his body, you know, with a little bit more purpose. Again, you know, like Amber said, we always do reiterate with families when we bring stuff like this that, or if they use stuff like this, that everything is always to be used with parental supervision.
All right. So another really amazing thing about making things for a child is that it gives us some flexibility. So the first image is this little guy. He's in a tumble form chair that's been lent to him by the physical therapist. So what I did is I got a Downy box from Costco and I got my duct tape out and I made it as sturdy as I could. And I brought it into the home and I helped make some extra cuts and things so that it would work with his tumble form chair because his goal was to get upright. He needed a lot of support still, and then ultimately using both hands and his eyes together to start playing and exploring. So I made some scratch boards, and in this image you can see it's a slinky board. There's 2 slinkies attached to a board that's now been Velcroed to that homemade desk or tabletop. And he's playing and he's engaging. But we were able to then just bring that same scratch board over to the new tray, which was familiar to him. And he right away got engaged and was able to play in a new position. More upright, more support, all of that. So it's just this idea that we can be flexible and making things that are unique for the child, and then adapting them as the needs of the child change.
So these are some pictures of our Birth to 3 group at NMSBVI having a make and take day. And the left and the middle pictures are all of us working on using PVC pipe to create play stands and a variety of AMDs. And the picture on the right is one of our make and take tables with 2 of our staff working on making those scratch boards that Amber was just talking about, boards with different textures to help kids kind of explore all of those, be again motivated to do some of that purposeful movement. And one of the things that we really try to do in our Birth to 3 group is to make sure that we set aside time to have these make and take sessions, because it allows us within our group to really share ideas, to really collaborate with each other, to come up with some creative ideas, some new ideas that we can then take out into the field and share with families.
So we're going to just go over a few of our recycled toys just to highlight them. In this, you see an image of a little girl in her bumbo chair with a little tray and a tissue box that again has duct tape. It's made in stripes with silver and red to be visually attractive to her. And it's the second image just shows the box with some of the materials that were placed inside. And the idea is that this gives her an opportunity to reach in there, pull things out, and they're all different textures. And then she can also then be working on putting them back in and do all kinds of things. So this is just a really easy example of things that families can create on their own, or we can support them in creating.
So these are a couple more pictures of materials that we've used. The picture on the left is a toothbrush holder actually that came from the dollar store, and some small red pom-poms that in this case have been placed on top of a contrasting mat. And the child can place the pom-poms on top of the toothbrush holder, push them through the little holes with their fingers. In this case, the red pom-poms with the black toothbrush holder gave some really nice visual contrast there. The picture in the middle is a picture of one of our screen boards. So these are great for tactile feedback when kids are coloring. Also, they give some nice auditory feedback. We basically use a piece of cardboard, tape, as like a window screen piece over it. We can tape the edges, which keeps the screen on, but also gives kids a nice defined high contrast border for them to color on. And then we can clip a piece of paper to that so that the child can color on that paper, or sometimes I've had children just color directly on the screen. And again, they get that nice tactile and auditory feedback. And then the picture on the right is a picture of a large cardboard box that has a variety of Christmas lights poked through the side. And this is the same child that was in the previous picture with the meal box liner. And we were able to place this child on his boppy inside the box so that he could have this great kind of sensory experience in there. And obviously, he's getting some nice visual feedback with those lights. He got some really nice auditory feedback. He would make a sound and it kind of echoes back inside that box. And so that was definitely motivating for him as well. And then his brother, there's some crayon marks on it. And his brother actually, when they were making this, colored all over the inside to kind of make it cooler for his brother. So that was a really nice way as well to include other members of the family, to include his, preschool aged brother to help, work with him and help create this opportunity for his brother to be involved. And it was this very simple thing of just this box that, again, probably would have just gone out with the recycle, some old Christmas lights, and created this wonderful learning opportunity for this child to have just in their living room.
So we're done with our time. Thank you.
NMSBVI, Innovations Department, New Mexico School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Alamogordo, Albuquerque, statewide outreach, 1-800-437-3505, www.nmsbvi.k12.nm.us, spring 2023.